Joe Biden on Wednesday began dismantling the legacy of his predecessor faster than any other incoming president in the modern era. Aides said he was set to sign up to 15 executive orders on his first evening in the Oval Office, far more than any other recent president. None of his immediate predecessors signed more than one executive order on their first day in office, instead attending celebratory inaugural balls. So his first action was to order that US government employees wear masks on federal property. Then he urged Americans to wear masks for the first 100 days of his presidency. Not that this is an executive order. He ended Trump's travel ban on several predominantly Muslim countries. Well, this was Obama's idea and his idea that he is now overturned. And he stopped the building of the wall on the US-Mexico border. He has ended the national emergency declaration that's allowed Trump to divert money for its construction. He has not ordered that the wall be torn down yet, but he has obviously proposed an immigration bill that will provide an 8-year path to citizenship for the millions and millions of illegal immigrants in the US. He's rejoined the Paris Climate Accord and the World Health Organization, and he plans to make one of his first actions the nomination of a new US Surgeon General, following the resignation of Jerome Adams, who was appointed by Mr. Trump. Presumably he was asked to step down by Biden, which means that one of Biden's first acts was to fire a black man. He also is going to institute a temporary moratorium on the new oil and gas leasing in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, which is authorized by Trump, and he has revoked the presidential permit for the Keystone XL oil and gas pipeline. So, like, full on, no, I hate everything Trump has done, and I'm going to do my best to undo it. And then we get to the other sort of, I don't want to call them ancillary, because I think these things are actually still important, but they're not the sort of, these are the sort of main core of things that, you know, are big, normal sort of mainstream political things. But then you get the sort of things that surround that also give you an impression.
Just anything and everything Trump ever did. Like I saw there was apparently a press conference held earlier yesterday, and one of the questions from one of the mainstream journalists was, "Are you going to get rid of the color scheme of Air Force One that Trump brought in?"
Yeah.
It's like, what?
She was like, I haven't looked into that.
She started smiling and was like, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that." And it's just like, what do you even care? It's a color scheme.
Yeah.
Like, but Trump did it, therefore it's got to go.
I guess so. But and speaking in the spirit of things that Trump may have done and have to go, the White House petitions are gone. The whitehouse.gov website used to have petitions. Like, you know, they would want to hear from the people. If they got 100,000 signatures in 30 days, they get an official update from the White House.
Yeah. A lot of people care about this. We should probably look at it.
You would think so. You know, look, this is a good way for the public to talk to the government directly. Look, there's a lot of us who are bothered about this. That's been deleted. So if you just get redirected back to the main page of the White House. So if Joe Biden's inauguration with 0 people there and massive fences and guards weren't enough of a hint that he literally doesn't care what you think, well, you can't even talk to him now. You can't even present this position.
This is actually a pretty basic part of trying to make a democratic government at this point. Yeah. Like if you were trying to set up a new state, for example, one of the basic things you do to try and deal with corruption is you set up a corruption hotline so people can call and report if someone's being corrupt. And petitions are another way of setting up so
the right of petition is an ancient feature.
Yeah, but the online type is what I'm meaning. So you'll probably still be able to send physical petitions by post or something like that.
Sure,
but the online one is the point of trying to make the government more open and transparent and available to the people. Just gone. Like there probably is one for the Iraqi government, I bet. Like the Americans have probably set one up for them, but for Joe Biden, not needed.
Not interested. Sorry.
It's got to go.
2 stacks Joe's just not interested in your opinion. Sorry.
So there's also the fact that the 1776 report was also deleted from the White House website. This was the patriotic education proposal that Trump brought up to try and get rid of
critical race theory.
Critical race theory, which, you know...
I haven't actually heard any news about Biden's view on critical race theory, but given the views of the
his
people...
manifesto is in favor of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I imagine that he's going to revoke that executive order at some point as well and bring critical race theory back.
Yeah, if he doesn't have an opinion on it, he'll have had it bashed into him by Wednesday.
Someone will have an opinion on it around him, yeah.
Also, the list of achievements that Trump's administration put out just before had also been deleted. I just wanted to mention that, but I didn't have an image for that. And also, we mentioned the YouTube channel, so the White House YouTube channel. I took this morning. It's just a screen print of the Social Blade. So the channel had all of its videos from the Trump era deleted. They're all either...
So memory holding, as if Trump was never actually the president.
Yeah, it's not just that one live stream. It's all gone. So they had, 190 million views on the channel. Yep. And then Biden's team came in, and now they have 13 million views.
Bloody hell.
What was that, 100 over 150 million views, just gone.
That is a hell of a modern book burning that Joe Biden just engaged in.
Yeah, you can see some people unsubscribing because you
Sure.
know, if you're upset about Trump.
Well, who wants to get regular updates on unity from Joe Biden?
Yeah, but
Not exactly a unifying message.
I don't know if Trump's administration did this with Obama's videos, because the data doesn't go back that far.
Sure.
But it's not exactly a strong message for unity, is it?
No.
Delete everything you ever did.
Well, erase the public messages that the previous president put out. I mean, if for no other reason, you'd leave them up as a historical record. You know, why would you want them taken down? Unless, of course,
It doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah, exactly. It makes
Cost
some money.
some time
probably.
to delete them.
Yeah,
Actually.
exactly.
It's irritating to go back and go.
Yeah, I mean, their YouTube channel's probably monetized. You know.
Yeah, you can see you can't see it on there, but they had estimated revenue if
Yeah.
they were monetized, and it was like a few £1,000s a day.
Yeah, but on the plus side, I bet Joe Biden's social credit score went up really well.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need YouTube's money; he's got China's.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, sorry, Karen.
So that's just the stuff that they've destroyed. There's also the stuff they're promoting, in case you think that might be good, and it's something. So the first thing is if you go onto the website of the White House, you can now put your pronouns.
Ah, yes.
Good job.
Day one, what we need on the White House website is people to be able to tell us their personal pronouns.
Yeah, which to me is just a dog whistle for I'm an intersectionalist. I don't believe they actually give a toss about people who want to be addressed by the correct pronouns or something like that. By evidence of she, her, and he, him, like who unironically uses them? Who's like, my pronouns are he, him? Like, if you are the term cis, like you are male and think of yourself as male, no one engages in that unless you're some kind of activist.
Yeah, why would you need to?
Weird. But of course, this is part of the wider thing that was going on. So promoted before was the idea that they were going to bring back the bathrooms. So
Yep.
Trump's administration has put out guidance for schools saying, no, you should go to the bathroom your biological sex is aligned with. And they've done this. If you can get the next one up, that's the executive order saying that is what's going to happen. Any school that is funded in part or full by the federal government has to provide that sort of thing. What's interesting about this is it's under Title IX, and Title IX was about sex discrimination, so you shouldn't be discriminated on the basis of your biological sex. And this has just been ballooned by activists into the point that it means, gender and everything else as well, which it obviously doesn't. So
which isn't something that you can say is fixed squarely if you believe in this kind of worldview.
Like, they can't even believe this. So there's a sentence from here that shows this. Enforcing prohibitions on sex discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. Like, sex discrimination on the basis of identity or sexual orientation.
That doesn't make any sense.
There's just different things. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, sexual orientation has got nothing to do with the sex that you are.
So this was the argument from the Trump campaign, because you remember Trump didn't give a toss about whether transgender people use different bathrooms. He even said, if you come to Trump Tower, I don't care.
Yeah.
But it was the point of, well, the law is about sex discrimination, so that's what it should be. If you want something for something else, well, file another lawsuit with the Supreme Court and get that passed, or, put something into law. But that's not what Title IX was.
No.
And then there's the wall funding. So this is the order saying that, all the wall funding is stopped. All building on the wall, I think the word was paused. So within 7 days, anything that's currently being built has to be stopped, anything on the southern border. He referred to it as a waste of money that diverts attention from genuine threats to our homeland security.
Oh. I love that. I'm sure all the children who are being trafficked illegally across the border are like, thanks, Joe.
I sort of get the hint there. He's hinting at, like, we got to divert this money to deal with the real problem, MAGA.
Oh, yeah. And that's where it's going.
So he says here, it should be a policy that this administration will spend no more American taxpayer dollars on the construction of a border wall. So not even just Trump's wall, just border walls in general.
He'll put a wall up around the Capitol because the government is important, and all the important people are already behind that wall, and we've got 25,000 people to guard that, which is doubtless going to stay there in perpetuity. But a border for you plebs to prevent MS-13 coming across and raping and murdering you, or preventing drugs and guns from coming across illegally, or like say human trafficking, not his problem.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico is a dangerous place.
Especially North Mexico.
You look at a graph of how many people die due to conflicts every year. Like, Mexico's always next to Syria in the amount of people dying per year because of cartel violence and so on and so forth.
And the Mexican government is very weak. Can't get a handle on these.
But there's a thing. If take I'm going to get trouble for this, but bringing up Israel. But if you have a Palestine next door, you have them basically at war with you. Yeah. Well, then they built a border wall because it's a violent area. You have violent people, and it's a similar process. If you have a state next door that's got extreme violence going on, and you're not that kind of state, well, you build a wall. Like, I don't know what the problem was. Anyway, and then there's also the terrorist ban. So he got rid of the terrorist ban because of Well, what? Biden? Because you promoted this.
Yeah.
Your administration were the ones saying, these countries are full of terrorists. We ought to stop these people coming into our country because they pose a massive terror risk. Send them somewhere else.
But that was in the interest of protecting American citizens from terrorism. I assume
when Trump came along and said, I actually agree, these states do seem to be filled with terrorists. I think the last administration had this right. I think Mr. Biden has this right. We're going to ban these people. That was the Muslim ban, as it was shown. But of course it's not, because it didn't ban all Muslim countries, it didn't ban people on the basis of being Muslim.
And
it
so just assumes that every single person in this country is a Muslim.
Yeah, which is obviously untrue.
Yeah, which is obviously untrue. But this is the point, isn't it? Like the things that Biden is doing is just not in the interest of the American public. If you are a regular person in America just going about your private life, it would be better for you to not have potential terrorists coming to your country than not. It would be better for you to have a border wall than not.
I mean, we spoke about the guy who came from Libya the other day and chopped up a bunch of people in a park.
Yeah.
And that was what this was aiming at. It's like, look, this state is in the middle of a civil war. We're not taking refugees from there. We will send them to the country next over, and then they will go back afterwards.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're a terror threat.
Yeah.
That's what this was, and that's why Biden promoted it. And then, of course, Trump did it, therefore it's bad, therefore it has to go.
Yep. Biden is, it's the total inversion of values, where everything that was good is now evil, and everything that was evil is now good. And therefore, Biden is just embracing all of these things that are going to be harmful to the American public. Not having border security, when you've got literally like gangs like MS-13 operating near the border and trying to get into the United States. Like that alone is more than enough justification for a border wall, let alone all of the other problems that come from having this porous border.
So the next one he passed that was of interest to me was the racial equity stuff. Yeah. So he wants to advance racial equity. And I could just imagine like a Soviet-era poster with him behind it.
Yep.
Let's advance racial equity through our force, something like that.
Yep.
But I'm not too worried about this one per se, because I found this kind of weird, the wording in it. Each agency must assess whether and to what extent its programs and policies perpetuate systemic barriers to opportunity and benefits for people of color and other underserved groups, such as the alphabet people.
Yep.
It goes on and so forth. Which, that's obviously an SJW language, but they define in the definitions the term equity as consistent, systemic, fair, just, and impartial treatment of all individuals.
Well, that's not possible. Because from the way that this is framed, this is clearly framed in the dialect of social justice. And if you are a believer in social justice, then you believe that everyone is inherently biased.
Fair treatment isn't good enough for social justice types.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's an inherently racist, structurally racist system full of people with inherent biases that can't be overcome. And so why would you even bring this up?
But this is why I think it's essentially the SJW's last 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
They've already been in 24 hours. What have they been up to?
Oh,
and you can see how they haven't updated all the terms yet. They're going to have to go back and redefine equity and whatnot.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, bringing the pronouns, racial equity, all this sort of stuff, these are all social justice.
Yeah, they are going to correct their mistakes.
Yeah.
You mentioned this earlier, but the XL pipeline thing, he also got rid of that. Apparently Justin Trudeau is quite peeved about this.
Were the Chinese not happy with it, Justin?
No, Alberta wasn't happy with this because they were making a lot of money out of it. And they were complaining to Justin to try and intervene, and he has not, because he wants good relations with Biden, which I'm sure that's worth it. I'm sure.
Why don't you just break out like your cell phones and see which Chinese Communist Party members you've got in there and bond over your mutual corruption? Like,
make a group chat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, make a group chat.
But of course, this also makes no sense. I don't know that much about pipelines, but from the videos I watched learning about it, it seems that this is the safest way and cheapest way to transfer oil. Otherwise, you've got to send it via trains.
Yeah, but it goes through native land.
But that's not really the point here, which is that the attempt here is not because Biden cares about native land or anything like that. It's because you want to stop using oil. That's the argument. But that's not going to happen. It's just going to go by trains, which means you'll have more accidents and kill more people.
I think you're being You're not giving Biden enough credit. I think that Biden himself is about to join a Native American reservation.
I think he'll declare himself for one. Anyway, but the other SJWs, our lovely friends in Antifa, decided to riot because apparently the MAGA guys weren't up to it. So, all this worrying about, MAGA's going to go out and riot because of Joe Biden, and then nothing happened.
No.
There were no terror threats against the 25,000 soldiers. Nothing seemed to have taken place.
Yeah.
But what did take place was Antifa in Portland here going down to the headquarters of the Democratic Party and smashing it up.
Wow.
Because F Biden. Biden's not good enough.
Wow. I can't believe that Antifa were just not prepared to stand down.
You can see them trying to cover the comrades up with their
Yep.
umbrellas there, but obviously smashing it.
The people dressed in black covering their faces and smashing things up, they're the good guys.
This could be Proud Boys. I have no idea. That's essentially the response I saw in the comments.
I suppose it could be.
But it's not just in Portland, also in Seattle, where the Chaz and the Chop were that killed so many people. Same thing, except here they were smashing up local businesses. So this is a historic Starbucks. Apparently it's the first one that was ever made.
Oh, the very first Starbucks. Oh,
So
no.
it's got to be destroyed. So
Yep.
yeah. And the claim is still Antifa does not exist. So you can get the next one. This is the response. No, it should be... Oh, sorry. This is Fox News reporting on it, saying that they were anti-Biden Antifa, destroying things. And then...
Fair description, to be honest.
Yeah, like, what's wrong with that? And then the response being that, this isn't a real thing. Anti-Biden Antifa caused damage in Portland, Fox News are claiming. But local news is reporting it was J20 who are anarchists, not Antifa. Fox News is still lying, no surprise.
I know who Liana Kersner is. She's wrong there. Antifa are anarchists, Liana.
I picked her because she has a check mark, but there were literally endless comments under that Fox News piece, and Andy knows comments being like, oh, this isn't Antifa. Some people trying to claim it was the Proud Boys because it's anti-Biden Antifa means they're the Proud Boys. It's just like, Jesus Christ, guys. Like, the idea is smashing up your headquarters.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden's like, oh, should I say something? Should I not?
Nope.
But they're going to do nothing.
Get what you deserve.
And it wasn't just Justin Trudeau that's been cringe in response to this. Boris Johnson has been incredibly cringe. So he was asked the question, is Joe Biden woke? To which the obvious answer is yes. And, as a conservative, I should be opposed to that. But he didn't say that, did he? So let's play the clip and you can see what his view on that is.
Do you think, as some senior politicians in Britain seem to, that President Biden is woke?
I can't comment on that. But what I know is that he's a fervent believer in the transatlantic alliance, and that's a great thing, and a believer in a lot of the things that we want to achieve together. And insofar as nothing wrong with being woke, what I can tell you is that I think that it's very, very important for everybody to, and certainly I will put myself in the category of people who believe that it's important to stick up for your history, your traditions, and your values and things you believe in.
Finally,
okay, that was an awful answer, right? So there's nothing wrong with being woke. Yeah, there is. The Nazis were woke. Wokeness is the politicization of race, gender, other inherent characteristics to turn them into political weapons with which you can attack the opposition. So that's the first thing. But Boris saying, well, I believe in your traditions, your culture, you're standing up for your values and all that. They don't believe in that. They hate your traditions. They hate your culture. They think that's white supremacist, Boris. And if the Conservatives still at this point do not understand how dangerous woke is to them, then they're lost. They're absolutely lost. They should be signing up to lotuscaesar.com so we can teach them what they need to know. Unreal. There's nothing wrong with being woke. There's nothing wrong with being a Nazi, but I happen to not want to be a Nazi. It's like, well, then get used to being a Nazi.
So I heard a defense of this, which that he's basically a bit of a normie and probably doesn't know what this is. That's just bull.
Let's assume that he is. That's irresponsible. Like, this woke stuff is everywhere. It's just taken over the White House.
You're the leader of the conservative movement of the UK, and you still have no idea.
And you
No,
literally are coming out saying, well, actually, I happen to like, the traditions and history of my country. Yeah, but they don't. They hate your country.
But you can also see
God
the obvious problem there, that it's him having no balls, no spine, because he says we need to be able to stick up for our tradition, our values. Well, if you're a conservative, your traditions
That's
and
white
values
supremacy.
Your traditions and your values are opposing wokeness. I'm sorry, that is what you're about.
Well, that's what they...
Then why are you able to say there's nothing wrong with being woke?
Exactly. I mean, but that's the thing. Obviously, our traditions and values are not white supremacy, but that's how they're viewed from the woke perspective. Like, England, America, these are considered to be white supremacist countries in the woke worldview. You can say, oh, there's nothing wrong with being woke. It's like, yeah, there is.
But look at that for a minute. Like, the Conservative Prime Minister, the leader of the Conservative movement in the UK, saying we must be able to stick up for our values, but also there's nothing wrong with being woke.
Mad.
Like, what purpose of you is there?
Yeah.
If you're not able to stick up for the most basic value, which is to be a conservative, or even just a liberal. Like, because even the liberals hate wokeness, because it's just communist nonsense.
Well, wokeness is unironic racism. So if he's like, there's nothing wrong with being woke, it's like there's nothing wrong with being racist. And I'm sorry that there actually is. I actually don't like racism. I just don't like talking about racism.